Start off your introduction.
Alright. What's good, everybody? It's Sean P, the Bluff God. And today, we collabing it up with. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Yep, this is Eli DZ. Today we're going to be talking about chapter 1023, and then after that, we'll freestyle with some other topics.
Alright. You out the camera right now?
Yeah, I'm just showing the topics we're talking about today.
Oh, good, because I don't see.
Oh, that was probably the virtual.
Like, I don't see you. I don't see nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we good. Now we good. I see it. I see it. Okay. So today we are discussing One Piece chapter 1023 spitting image. I think it's going to be the chapter. That's part of the chapter we're going to be discussing. And we'll also be having some other topics that we're going to be talking about. I think this was such a big chapter. It kind of warranted a collaboration, kind of a bigger stream than just normal streams we do.
Yeah, it's like near 10 out of 10 for me. It just had so much. It had action. It had war. It had stuff that people been anticipating to happen actually coming to fruition.
Yeah. But I don't know if YouTube really like people putting like the chapters on.
Yeah, got to figure out a way to make it like translucent.
Yeah,
that's a way to get around it.
Yeah, So you gotta be careful with that. All right, so but yeah, we could this is the topics we're gonna talk about. Chapter 1000, or if you want to go over the chapter, you want to go over the topics. I'll let you go.
Yeah, so after we're done with the chapter, I want to talk about some new thoughts I have about how Gear Fifth can be related to maybe possibly seeing a new Nightmare Luffy.
Yeah.
In addition to, kind of something we talked about last time, which is spirits in the afterlife.
Okay.
Then, real quick, I'm going to talk about where I think Kaido's poneglyph can be. I mean, that's going to take like a minute to talk about, but I figured, why not? Then we're going to talk about the concept of maybe hell existing in One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
Then, lastly, just something I've been thinking about Emu and how his immortality can exist. So this is all the stuff you can be watching on the stream here on YouTube.
Bet. Okay. That's what it is. That's what it is. So, hey, let's get this chapter going. You ready?
Yeah,
I'm ready. So, all right. So we got One Piece chapter 1023, spitting image. I kind of think it meant splitting image, but
I thought it was talking about Zorro and that old Daimyo Ringo, I think it was.
Yeah, I kind of think it could mean that, and it could also mean whatever Shinobu was crying about. Maybe he looked like Odin.
Oh, you mean like how he looked like Kaido?
Yeah, because she said, "My
That's
lord,
also true. I didn't think about
you
that.
look just like," and then it goes. It could mean both though, because I didn't think about the Zoro one.
Yeah, it's funny. We both thought it in different ways, but it makes sense both ways, and that's the genius of Oda.
Yeah, but I guess when I say spitting image, because isn't the term usually splitting image? Like you look like a split.
No, I think it was a spitting image.
Spitting.
Yeah.
That's a weird, they use spitting and not splitting. I don't know. That's beside the point anyway. We the cover story we got or it's not really cover story, just the cover. We got Vivi in what seems to be like a little garden area playing with sparrows. while Karoo like looks in jealousy.
Yeah, that guy's funny. I like it.
Yeah, you know. But, you know, that's not what we're here for. We're here for the chapter. Okay. So, you want to add, you know,
I don't have anything particular to add to.
No, I mean, you want me to start with the recap, or would you like to maybe start with the recap?
Sure.
Okay.
Just so I can maybe comment a little bit on the last chapter, which is just Zoro and Sanji finally working together with it seeming that the more they take it serious, the less they bicker. Yeah. And that's sort of a testament of how powerful these two guys are.
Exactly.
But
they work. Yeah, I like to see them together.
Yeah, you know, if you look at them like physically, the way they look, just physical features, they actually look really similar.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could be either Oda at that point in time not like deviating too much in his character design, or maybe there's something to that where it's like I feel like one of the things they dislike about each other is maybe certain things they could recognize in each other. Yeah. You know, Zoro might look at Sanji, but I don't want to be like that guy, even though they are similar. And vice versa.
It's that respect, you know. They do have that respect for each other, like that unspoken respect. It's just, you know, they gotta put on that facade that they hate each other.
They kind of have a little bit of like a negging each other, like almost like they have a crush on each other.
Yeah.
Not to say that the story's going in that direction, but they do have that vibe a little bit.
Yeah. Let's hope it don't go that direction.
That would be a wild turn.
Yeah. So one thing I kind of talked about, was like, you know, how this fight was going to happen. How King and Queen versus Sanji and Zoro, was it going to be kind of like a tag team type of a fight, or was it going to be 2 1v1s? You know what I'm saying? And this chapter is looking like more of a tag team.
See, yeah, it's interesting because, well, first I just want to say hi to someone in the chat, to Sozo. And there's a mysterious character lurking in the Wano raid. I didn't even notice that. If you could elaborate more in the chat, I appreciate that.
What was the comment?
It said there's a mysterious character lurking in the Wano raid. Well, I mean, there's so many. I guess technically that's true, like of so many things. In this chapter in particular, I don't remember seeing anything like that. But I mean, there's always that person that was healing the scabbards. We still don't know who that is.
Are they talking about from the anime? Because there's the one part where it was like Yamato was kind of like following, you know, like when they first got the Onigashima, and Yamato was like, somebody was peeking in the bushes. And it was, you know, a lot of people made speculation it was Yamato, and I think the anime implied it was Yamato.
Oh, the anime made it like blatant.
Yeah,
pretty much.
They're
literally exactly like Yamato.
Yeah. I haven't peeped the mysterious character, but you know that's interesting. I want to know more, Sozo. That's kind of interesting to me. But yeah, going back to chapter.
Yeah, so at some point in the chapter, they're like, these guys are serious. You know, Hirogoro and Kawamatsu are like, you know, don't interfere with their fight. So it seems as if the stage is being set for it to be 1v1s because there's going to be no interference from the outside. So then that's perfect. If there wasn't 1v1, even... You know, Zoro's not going to interfere with Sanji, and Sanji's not going to interfere with Zoro.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like Queen tried to attack Zoro, and Sanji stopped Queen.
Yeah.
And from that point, it was almost like they started separating.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But yeah. But so going into the chapter, we got like Zoro and Sanji kind of stand there after like the aftermath of the attacks from last chapter, right? And you basically see Chopper talking about, oh yeah, I'm glad I'm glad the medicine we gave Zorro worked. It worked. And Dr. Miyagi talking about like, hey, I'm more so worried about him like after. I'm worried about after it, like everything wears off on him. And you see King and Queen. What was that?
I say, yeah, he's definitely in for it. It's gonna be worse than Thriller Bark.
Yeah. And you kind of see King and Queen laying there, just laying there. Like King looked kind of like, oh my goodness, I gotta actually fight now. Queen looked kind of like he just kind of like he kind of like he could be hurt, but King looked like he just fed up. And so we get a guy that's about to pretty much snipe Zorro, but Kawamatsu stops that, which is good to see Kawamatsu back in the fray.
Yeah.
And he basically tells everybody like, hey, let's let these guys handle this fight. You'll just end up getting in their way, and DJ Red Comment says it's going to be a 1v1. It's most likely going to go in that direction. Oda likes to let Sanji and Zoro really flex, and I don't know if they'll really get a chance to flex in the 2v2 type of a fight. But
it'll be hard. I mean, it's not like they have combo attacks. Like it was pre-established that they like to work together like that, I guess. But
Sanji and Zoro,
yeah, it doesn't really make sense for them to start comboing with each other.
But would that work for? Or do you think that would work for or against King and Queen though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, are they good at? Would they be good?
We don't know enough.
Oh yeah, we don't know that. We don't know it exactly. So it's like we know Sanji and Zoro. They work great, but we don't know how much of a benefit or if it'll hinder King and Queen. But yeah, back to the chapter. We see King get up, and we kind of get not really a flashback, but kind of like we hear White Boy's voice.
Yeah, I mean
at least Marco does.
Yeah, it's a panel.
Yeah, and I guess it's Whitebeard basically saying, "What do you?" or no, it's Marco saying, "What do you mean?" Atop the red line is Mary Joa, and Whitebeard says, like, I'm talking long before that. From what I hear, there used to be a land of gods up there.
So it's weird. I think the official translation may have messed up a little or something, because in the fan translation, Marco says, "Oh, are you talking about the celestial dragons?" To which Whitebeard's like, "No, not them." And in this one, he doesn't mention it. It really doesn't make sense. Like what he's saying, like what he on top of the red line. I don't know. They could be talking about above the red line, meaning that they literally lived not on top of the red line physically, but above it. That's the only other thing I can think. But the way it's worded is weird. It's just a little confusing to me, the way they decided to go to word this.
Yeah, I haven't read the scan, so I couldn't I couldn't separate them, because what I got from it is just like before the celestial dragons lived in Mary Joa, like there were, that was considered the land of gods or something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
yeah, I guess they're just saying it's just the context a little weird, but I think I get what he's saying. He's just saying that they were there before the Celestial Dragons, like before Mayor Joe was a thing again.
Yeah, and it's kind of make me think he was talking about like King.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of in the context. But you know, I'm not, I don't want to get ahead. I don't want to get ahead. You know. So anyway, I'm not like it looked like Marco's being thrown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, was that the case? Because I didn't really get the context of what it looked like. Was it Ezo, or is it Ezo being thrown?
He was someone. It was one of the, and Ezo just comes and moves him out the way.
Oh.
So it's like Marcos, he's not paying attention. He's like in his head thinking about something while someone's about to hit him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Ezo do. All right. Yeah. That part of the panel was confusing. It looked like somebody was being thrown in, or like Ezo was either Ezo or Marco. I don't know. Look weird panel for
me. Yeah, I know. It's a One Piece. When I first started reading it, it was just so confusing to understand what was happening so much, because I was reading a lot of Naruto, and if there's one thing the author of Naruto does really well, is he's really good at showing action. So when I first started reading One Piece, I was like, I don't know what's happening, what's going on. But after a while, I started getting the hang of it. But yeah, One Piece is really weird with the action sometimes.
Yeah. So we see Ezo basically carrying Marco, telling him like, hey, you need to wake up. We're in the middle of a fight. And Marco kind of replies like, hey, I was just waiting for you to save me. I don't know, man. I kind of I don't like to go in this direction. I really don't like going in this direction, but kind of seeing their little interaction.
Are you saying like as a Marco fan?
No. I'm not really that. I'm not a big Marco fan. But it seemed like Oda trying to go somewhere with Marco and Ezo. Like, I don't know, man. But
are you mean like their relationship?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't get that.
I mean, but they were kind of like brothers, though, being on the same ship.
Yeah.
But, like, just
I just thought that was Marco being his sarcastic self. Like, friend or foe, he makes sarcastic quips.
Yeah. So so now we after a couple panels ago, like we got when we heard Whitebeard talking about like gods, like the land of gods.
Mm-hmm.
Marco asks Ezo like, do you believe in gods?
Mm-hmm.
So what he said, when did you turn into Pops when he's drunk? But hold on, I wanted to go back to the comments real quick.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to do too.
But go ahead.
So, DJ Red Comics says Sanji did go to Okama Island, commenting on the relationship between Zorro, how they keep on nagging each other.
Yeah.
Sulong. But yeah, it's gonna be worse than Kuma's attack. That's for sure. YouTube theorist Joy Boyce made a great video about how Zorro's character could be related to Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm personally so glad he made that video, because that's gonna make me writing my fourth understanding Haki so much easier.
Was this recent?
I don't have to go into those stuff. I'm just gonna say go watch that guy's video to get the bigger picture of this. But
was this recent?
No, not recent. It's been a while ago. But one of the things he said is, faith-based powers exist in One Piece, and for Zorro, one of the laws of Buddhism is like life is suffering, and from suffering you can attain enlightenment and so forth. So one of the things he says is Zorro, he gets stronger the more pain and suffering he goes through. and I always thought that was such an interesting thing, and I think there's some merit to that. So who knows what that will do for Zoro uh, after this whole medicine. So it's like even though he's gonna go through a lot of suffering, there may even be more power up just from that.
Yeah,
For the future reference.
Yeah. DJ Red Comment says Zorro Backstory, which I mean, I'm not going to talk about that now. And that's something I kind of wanted to get into a little later in the topic, or in the stream. But yeah, I do want to talk about Zorro's backstory. And then Sozo, he said, "Excuse me, bros, my English is bad, but there was a mysterious shadow figure that looked like a nail in the last page of 1004. Did you go look that up?
I was talking about the one that was treating the scabbards. That's what I meant. I was like, at first I thought mysterious figure, but then I thought, oh yeah, there is a mysterious figure that we still haven't gone over. It's that person who's like tending to the scabbard's wounds.
Yeah. Didn't they show who that was?
No, I don't think they ever did show who that was. I think we're still waiting for that.
Wasn't it like? Dang! I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to look that up real quick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it on here, but. And then he said, and then in chapter 1008, there was a fake Odin created by Kondra. Yeah. I don't know, but I had to look that up because I don't. I do remember somebody treating the injuries, but
yeah, as far as I know, we never found out who that was.
Yeah.
My obvious guess, the one that it would be most obvious without it being a spectacular twist would be Hiyori.
Hiyori.
Yeah, that's the one it would make the most sense it being. Not saying it has to be that, but if he was going in that direction.
Yeah. I think it was I think it was the fake Odin. He probably would have killed him, but
yeah, it wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll have to look at that later, after this chapter, after we talk about this chapter. But yeah, so we got Izo running with Marco, and then we see King and Queen. Queen talking about yo boys. Hope you didn't think y'all stood a chance against us. Like, they pretty much got up like nothing. And he basically said, the calamities are there to protect Kaido. Mm-hmm. And then he starts shooting these little beams. And he said, and we're called lead performers because nobody gets the better of us.
Mm-hmm.
And Zorro then asked Sanji, like, hey, what's going on with you? And then Sanji basically says something like, he says that, like, ever since he put the Ray suit on for the second time, his body been feeling a little off, which I kind of want to talk about later in the stream, later after we recap. And Zorro basically said, hey, don't drag him, don't drag me down. And I'm guessing King is about to attack Sanji.
Mm-hmm.
And Zorro stops that. You wanna talk about you wanna recap a little? I don't wanna
Yeah, I get it. So this is what I find interesting is like, oh, you owe me one. But Sanji was just protecting Zorro like for a good while. I mean, he got him to law. He did a whole bunch. It's like, wouldn't Zorro owe Sanji a whole bunch? But then after thinking about it, Zorro's mindset, and Sanji might agree, is like Zorro was doing it on behalf. He was doing what he was doing for the crew and for Luffy. You know, he's trying to help defeat Kaido. He was protecting Luffy and their alliance. You know,
Yeah.
he did all that on behalf of that. So he might look at it as he may have gotten hurt, but Sanji helping him out isn't the same as this moment where it's just them two, which is kind of like I think their mindset is they're serious for everything else, but between them two, they still have to have that little bit of childish rivalry.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking at your comments. I wanted to point something out from Sozo. He said a few things. He said Zoro might get Kaido's devil fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Zoro's dragon swordless style could be a hint. The mysterious figure can't be fake Odin created by Chondro. Why would he heal non-scabbard wounds? Well, to the last point, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it would have been that Chondro. I agree with you on that. We kind of like we established that. As far as Zoro might get Kaido's devil fruit. What you think about that?
I don't think Zoro would get a devil fruit. I have made a 3-part series on how, culminating into how I think Zoro would eventually get a devil fruit. But it would be in his swords.
Mm-hmm.
And I made this a while ago, and just recently in one of the SBS, Oda said that if Zoro were to get a devil fruit, 1, it would be in his sword, and 2, it would be Kaido's devil fruit. So maybe he was saying that as some kind of foreshadow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I feel as though Zoro's good without one. You know what I'm saying? And I feel as though if he get ones, that will kind of dilute his badassness. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. As just being just a strong, just somebody who's super strong without devil fruit. You know, kind of like Shanks and Mihawk. You know what I'm saying? But as far as we know, you know.
Yeah, as far as we know. For that.
You know, they don't have devil fruits because that. You know, some people thought like Shanks might have like a Tom devil fruit. You know, I remember I heard a theory about that. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know if if Oda said it. If Oda said that Zoro will get Kaido's devil fruit, there might be there definitely might be something to it, you know. I feel as though anytime Oda speaks on something, it's something, you know, something you should listen to at least. Unless he's talking about like when the story's going to end, then you might not want to listen to him because
here's a prime example.
He's probably BSing.
That's gonna come up, but in an SBS, Oda, someone asked him, I think, about like how is it that. I think someone asked Oda about like Sanji's flames, and he says because his heart burns with a passion or something like that, and then he references it in the chapter. I mean, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but not that ahead. But that's just to your point, where if he says something, it's gonna have some type of relevance.
Yeah. So okay. So going back to the chapter, we got Queen, you know, using his little claws, his little cybernetic claws to try to get Zoro, but then that's when Sanji comes, you know, and basically kicks it away.
Chinese says Dr. Octopus tentacles.
Yeah, I know, right? And he said now, and then Sanji says now we're even. And this is when we get into something interesting. We get Queen bringing up Judge in Vegapunk. You know, he basically says Judge's sons, I hear, are all his kids are cyborgs, which they're not. Right? They're genetically enhanced.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting
that he would say it that way.
Yeah.
And then there may be something to that where maybe they are considered somewhat cyborgs, or he's just mistaken. I mean, they do have iron body skin.
Yeah. they're almost emotionless.
Yeah.
With maybe like Reiju. Like I think Reiju kind of had some emotion if she cared for Sanji. But yeah, it's weird that he said that. When from what was shown, they were genetically enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said he. I think this goes into what you just was talking about. He says he's a certified madman, and it's the burning leg of yours a machine part, right? Mm-hmm. And then he says, "Sorry, pal, I'm all human. Does a human burn like that? I know you ain't a Lenarian." And that's when King kind of like, you see like a ... Like he just kind of like
clearly he's thinking something.
Yeah. So and this is we're gonna go more into this later, because I think it was it was almost a confirmation, but just it wasn't confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you said, Sanji said, "I do. The heat of my passion surpasses the temperature of flame." And that's when he kind of started doing this little kind of like cartwheel, barrage of kicks, fire kicks, almost like a wheel. And he's saying, "I'm good at cooking up sea beast dinosaur." And then Queen says, "Let me show you the power of a cyborg even Vegapunk can't create, kid." that's a heavy...
He's probably wrong, but it's still a testament. I'm sure he has reason to be so confident in himself.
I mean,
and also,
Kuma?
Have we ever seen him use arm in haki?
Who?
Queen. I don't think we've seen him use arm in haki till now. I could be wrong. But I don't remember seeing him use it.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's confirmed that he can use it. I think this is somewhat significant because I don't think we have ever seen a someone who has like cybernetic or metal enhancements use arm and haki like this. I feel like Frankie we've never seen use arm and haki. But I think there's something to that. It's like the less human you are, the less
maybe will you have.
The less biotic, I should say. The less organic you are, the less powerful your haki would be.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
But
maybe because like the more cybernetic you are, the less of a will you have.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I mean, if you're someone like Kuma, you literally have no will at this point. You're just a complete robot.
Yeah.
But I like this interaction because I've said so many times, I have my haki theory about how I think the third level of haki involves fire. There's a link between conjuring fire and haki. And so many times people have come to me and say, well, no, Sanji, he just uses fire because of friction.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he did pre-time skip before he learned any type of haki. But then post-time skip, he starts just, spontaneously combusting. People would say, well, it's still friction. Or, maybe it just happened off screen, or maybe it just happened off panel. And it's like, technically, it's never addressed, like, why he's doing it. No one straight up asked him. But now, finally, someone said, how can you do this? And he just, it's the heat of my passion. He doesn't say, I spin, and I just do a whole bunch of friction. No.
But
that's what I've been suspecting this whole time, that it's clearly has something to do with, spirit.
My only pushback on that, not saying it's not... I feel like Sanji, because he's such a passionate person, like he might speak in hyperbole. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make something such as science more into like a emotional rant. You know what I'm saying? Like he's going to turn it into his love or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just kind of Sanji's character. So like, I don't know. It's just I'm not saying it's not, but coming from Sanji, it almost seems like a...
Now, that is true.
A little bit
but Queen is someone who's clearly very intelligent. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
was working around people like Judge and Vegapunk and all that. If there was like an explanation that he could see in front of him, he would just call it out. He wouldn't be so perplexed and be comparing it to someone like King, who we know for a fact can spontaneously combust
Good point.
and
Good point.
manipulate flames. So I would think like if he could see it, he would just say it and call it out. But clearly he doesn't understand. And Sanji, that's his supposed reasoning. And not even to say that Sanji knows how he does it, but I think Sanji, even though he's not a scientist, he would be smart enough to know, oh, it's because of this or whatever. Like if he could understand, someone like Queen, as smart as Queen, would also be able to understand.
Yeah.
I don't think Sanji actually understands it entirely. The same way I don't think Luffy completely understands how his Red Hawk works. But they don't have to completely understand it. Just look at how Sanji first learned Skywalk. And when he learned Skywalk, he literally learned it because he was running away from cross-dressers. Like, he didn't really understand what he was doing. Doesn't mean he couldn't perform it. He could do it.
He was just that
So
desperate that we're just... he was able to jump off air to...
Yeah. So you don't have to know exactly what you're doing as long as your body and your spirit performs it.
Yeah. Your will commands it. Because that's all, I think in the sense that's all hockey really is. It's just a manifestation of your will. And I'm pretty sure you might have explained that, but like because you talked about fire, you know, people like Luffy and Sanji have very fiery wills, Someone like Brook, who's dead has more of a cold will, more of an icy type will. But yeah. All right, so
I want to look at the comments real quick.
Yeah.
Salamander says, Marco says King's race can burst into flames, and both King and Emo wear clothes that cover their entire body. Same race? Are the Lunarians vampires? That is you're not the first person I've seen draw the connection between Emu and King. Like maybe if they're similar. I never seen someone question whether or not they're vampires. That's an interesting take. When I think of vampires, I think of how they would avoid the sun. So them be calling Lunarians could kind of seem like, they want to be in the moon and not the sun. However, if Lunarian means that they lived on the moon at some point, well, that would also be weird because the moon gets direct sunlight. That's the whole reason we can see the moon in the sky, because it's reflecting the sunlight. So if that's the case, then it wouldn't make sense for them to be vampires, because they would be literally having some of the most exposure you can get from the sun. But the whole covering the body aspect then makes you think, oh, that could be why they cover their body. Maybe that's how their vampire thing works. So I like that thought. I never seen anybody propose it that way. That's very interesting.
I mean,
did you want to comment on that?
No, I mean, I'm not really. I don't. The reason why I'm just waiting to talk about the King and everything. So I don't really want to go too in depth with. Like that's going to be later discussion. But could you continue with the comics if you want?
Yeah. In chapter 108, page 17, it says, I see what you're saying, but it kind of looks like Yamato, honestly. However, the jawline looks masculine. I'm assuming that's about the mysterious figure. I can't remember 108. Just double check real quick. Oh. If you haven't, you should check out viz.com and get yourself a membership. It's so cheap. It's only $2 a month, and you get all the chapters and everything. It's so convenient.
Oh, I got it.
I love it to read it. Yeah, I know. Speaking to anybody who's watching, if you don't already have it, and it's available in your country, of course.
Yeah.
Sometimes that.
And
if it's not available in your country, I fully support you pirating, because.
And the most important part the most important part of it, you're supporting. You know, you're supporting the creators. You're supporting Oda. And that's important, you know. You know, you gotta support your favorite manga, so it keep going.
Yeah.
So he said 108.
Honestly, Oda is fine.
Yeah.
But there's so many other people that it trickles down to. First of all, Oda has his editors. Oda has other people that work for him. And then, there's other manga artists that don't sell as many volumes as Oda, but we don't want One Piece to be the one and only manga that exists. So when you're supporting Shonen Jump, you're supporting all of it, and you know, One Piece isn't gonna last forever. We need other people to make manga, and so you're supporting you're supporting a big part of the industry.
So I'm trying to figure where this shadowy figure is.
Yeah, I'm on chapter 108. I'm on.
Ain't like at the end of 107.
Yeah, it must be 107.
I feel like it's the end of 107.
Oh, it's 104.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what somebody originally said.
Yeah, so we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen the identity of this person. It's still a mystery that we're just holding on to. Just want to check that out real quick. And the Lunarians could be angels. I mean, that one seems. They seem like, and I'll talk about this later when I talk about this thing about could hell exist in One Piece? Hell in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the stuff we're gonna talk about later on, so we might as well move on.
Yeah. So okay, yeah, we gotta continue. Let's finish this chapter before we get into the deep stuff.
Yeah.
I know a lot of y'all got like a lot of topics y'all want to talk about, but let's get through this. So we get some. It's just mostly combat. We get Zorro, telling King, hey, mummy in black, called him a mummy in black. Don't get distracted. And King, we see he got like a real unique sword, which kind of like almost like caught Zorro's swords, and
yeah.
And he like, I don't know if he throws them or if he just like keeps them attached. But
I think he tries to throw them.
Yeah.
It's I can't. I might butcher this, but I think it's called like a karakiri or something like that. We first saw this with Hold'em.
Yeah.
Which in the manga, I don't think we even saw what it did. We just called it out. Really, in English, it's called a trick sword. But in the anime, they expanded upon this and showed why it's called a trick sword.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of Renji from Bleach.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah, like Renji's. So.
And then we saw another trick sword with, what's his name? Sasaki?
Okay.
He had a trick sword. Maybe
Arlong, but his was more of a shark tooth.
Well, I think his is just like a weirdly designed. I think what makes it a trick sword is that it can do a trick. Like it can do something you don't expect it to do. Something just happens out of nowhere. Like for example, it looks like a normal sword with Hold'em, but then it turns out, oh no, it can become like a snake.
Yeah.
It looked like a normal sword, or at least it looks like it just functions normally, and then you find out it can do this thing.
They can grab
King, it's like it looks
swords.
like it's just a regular sword. That's why Zorro feels confident to just attack him, and then it turns out, oh no, there's like something weird going on with it.
Yeah. And then so King basically tries to punch him with like those spike knuckles he have.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's just part of his suit that he wears, his gimp suit.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what King is. He wears a gimp suit. But he tried to punch. He tried to punch him, but Zorro catches it. You know, he catches it with the why am I forgetting the you know, the one, what's her name? Old sword. Is it the Yado Ichimonji? Yado Ichi. I'm bad with the sword pronunciations.
Yeah, I mean there's so many.
Yeah, but that sword, his most cherished sword. He basically blocks it. It's like you don't really. I guess in that thin panel he catches his sword, because you don't really see, like, it don't really show him actually catching it. I guess it just assumed he caught it.
Yeah, he must have caught it.
And then he said, you know, he basically saying like, you know, like, King says, "Do you need a school or a style in order to fight?" And Zorro says, "Nope, good point. And you never called yourself a swordsman. But do as you like. Who knows? By the end of this, I might be tearing your throat out with my teeth." Some strong words. Anything to ensure I win this fight. And King has like that ... Like, King is very stoic. You know, when you see like how he acts, he's very stoic. You know, he doesn't respond to
half
much
of
stuff.
what he thinks.
Yeah. And then,
yes.
What?
Started reacting to Sozo. He said, "I want to see King fight Katakuri."
I would love that. Like, give me. And here's part of why I will find it dope if like Kaido isn't taken down at the end of Wano. Let's say he escapes or something, and he's part of that big war, the major war that Oda's gonna be giving us.
Yeah.
Like, we could potentially see like all the Yonko in one area, right? Like, all the Yonko show up. We get Kaido still around, Big Mom, Shanks, Blackbeard. And then we have like all the first commanders fight. You get King versus Katakuri. It could be like a 4-way against Ben Backman, King, Katakuri. You know, who am I forget? Marco. I don't know. Or not so much Marco. It wouldn't be Marco.
If you're sticking to just the Yonko, it would be like Shiryu maybe.
Yeah, Shiryu. Yeah. But you know, that's just my own something that I would find dope if it happened. Like, have all the Yonko present in this war. And then the Marines, the revolutionaries. But anyway, we kind of cut the Kawamatsu talking to Boss Here Girl, and he basically, they're talking about when Hiyori basically decided to give Zorro Enma, and at first, you know, Kawamatsu was against it, but you know, it was kind of like he was able to understand why, you know, after seeing Zorro in action, he gets why Hiyori wanted to give him the swords. But they also talk about like Zorro being a spitting image of Shimotsuki Ushimaru, the daimyo of Ringo, back in his youth. And they say he had the same sword style as Zorro, and he was also the descendant of Shimotsuki Ryuma. So that kind of like, if indeed Zorro is, I don't want to go too in deep with it, but if indeed Zorro is a Shimotsuki, that confirms.
I mean, all we need is a birth certificate at this point.
That confirms my theory that him and Ryuma are related. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go back and read like the Monster one shoot, I think it was Monsters. The one shoot Monsters with Ryuma. He looks just like Zorro, just like Zorro. And And then to add the fact that he returned Shishui to Wano, and I cannot help but feel that fate is at work. Especially when you consider that Ryoma also was a one-eyed samurai. Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
yeah,
man.
they're like they're giving Zoro that respect, calling him a samurai, basically implying like he's also a samurai.
Yeah,
because I don't think we've ever seen Zoro, refer to himself as a samurai. But he's getting respect from high-ranking, high-respected Wano citizens.
Yeah, he was also.
So that means a lot.
He was always more of a bounty hunter,
Yeah.
It wasn't till like the time skip where he actually started dressing more like a samurai.
Yeah.
So we cut to the treasure room, second floor, and we basically have Jack against Inuyasha. And
I love that Inuyasha's not going down like a punk. He's not stopping. He's gonna keep giving it his all. That's what his character's been from the beginning, and it's just gonna keep on going.
Yeah. So Jack basically kind of, is teasing Inuyasha, telling him, "Hey man, ain't it time for you to go to sleep? Like, ain't you the king of the day? So you should be asleep right now." And he said, He said, "I forgive your country. I'm also forgive your country for lying about the samurai." And Inuyasha basically like, it would have brought shame to us if we would have handed over Raizo to you guys. Plus, we trying to take out Kaido.
This is how disrespectfully. He didn't even say, "I'm gonna forgive you for lying." He said, "I'm gonna forgive you for going into ruin to uphold a lie." So he's like, "I'm gonna forgive you for you messing up your own country."
For real. Yeah, that's true. Man, Jack just talking all kinds of reckless. And so Inuyasha basically takes his trunk and flips him, throws him out onto I want to say it's like the performance floor. I think it's performance floor.
Yeah.
But and just trying to get.
I'm actually confused. It seems like this is Jack's hybrid form. It's like not even highlighted or anything. It's just like, oh, here it is. But it's like, is it his hybrid form? Because there's something a little weird about it. But it seems like his hybrid form, if this is it, is just like his upper body is kind of normal except for the fact that he has a trunk. And, whatever you consider those. And but then his lower is the mammoth.
Yeah.
But that's weird because I don't think we've seen that. Or maybe he's just mid-transformation, because if you look in later on...
Yeah, he looks back in his normal mammoth.
So that might not be his hybrid. I'm a lot of people are considering that, like, oh, that's his hybrid, but I feel like there's reason to think that it's not. I mean, for one,
he kind of reminds me of
the next one.
Yeah.
And two, it's like we've seen people who... I mean, for the most part, a lot of the zones we've seen are four-legged animals. If you look at there was this one guy from the snow country that Wappo is from. He was like a bull.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I forget his name.
Centaur. He became the king eventually, but he wasn't a centaur. So like, why would
he was
Jack
a bull.
It'd just be like a weird thing. But then you look at Black Maria. Maybe there's something this crew knows that other people don't about zones.
Yeah, I
wanted to be fair because they do have they clearly specialize in zones. So if they knew something like some trick, it would make sense. But yeah, just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I don't know. Because it kind of seemed like Oda don't want to give the full form, give us the full form yet.
It's weird
because he didn't give us a good picture of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, that's weird. And it kind of Black Maria's devil fruit always kind of like it's weird. Like hers is weird because it's almost like It almost look more like a smile devil fruit than it does actual devil fruit. You know how like the smile users are all like they look like they have an animal just attached to them, and the animal almost has its own personality.
Yeah,
but like we never see that in normal zone devil fruit users, except with Black Maria. Like her spider almost looked like it had the personality to a degree at least. So yeah, that's weird. But so we kind of get a flashback of when Jack was at Zou torturing Inuyasha and Nekomamushi, and Inuyasha's talking about for 20 years he asked himself, "Are you still a samurai of Lord Odin?" And then we see Jack says, "How have you turned Sulong?" And we see the moon in the we see like the crack in the roof, and then we see the moon, and we get Inuyasha in his full Sulong form.
And like Salamander Red said, rest in peace, Ashura Doji. Because it seems to be implied that hole was created by Ashura's explosion.
Yeah. And was that Ashura on the floor?
Is that him?
When like you see
that
Jack like falling, it looked like a body is on the floor.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that the first time, actually. Like, I see it, but I didn't put two and two together. Like, that could be him.
Yeah. I was wondering, because I seen that body. I was like, bro, that looked like a body on the floor. But I couldn't, like, make out who it was. But, yeah, so Inuyasha basically says, "We will let a city of 1,000 years fall to ensure that we reach this decisive battle. Only by winning this fight, whatever the cost, will dawn come to the world." And the front entrance call. Oh yeah, this is we cut to where Nekomamushi is. Okay, I kind of forgot about this part of it.
Yeah. Here's what's cool about the panels is if you look at page 13, the bottom panel is Inuyasha, and then if you look at page 13, the bottom panel is Nekomamushi. And
yeah,
it's like paralleling each other.
It could have been a full spread almost if it would have been on the same page.
That would have been cool.
So yeah, you lick spittle. This is the last moon. Okay, so yeah, we basically get Nekomamushi in his full Sulong form. We get to see both Inuyasha and Nekomamushi in the full. And then we also cut back to the fight between Raizo and Fukurokoju. With Odin dead, you reduced to... And Fukurokoju basically mocking him for following Momonosuke.
Mm-hmm.
And Raizo basically tells Fukurokoju that, hey, Wano's going to watch over Momonosuke. Man, there's so much going on in this chapter. This is really... like, I just read this chapter today, so for me, it's like this is like my kind of third read-through.
I know, I'm just noticing something new.
Yeah, you just catching new things. Like, that's why...
If you look at Fukurokujo, it looks as if he's using his earlobes as propellers, like he's a helicopter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was wondering how this man fights. I mean, he's the leader of this ninja, and I'm thinking, is he gonna do something cool? But I should have known based off Raizo. No.
Yeah, I wanted
to be just as goofy.
Like last chapter, I remember Fukurokoju telling Raizo, like, I follow whoever the Shogun is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I found that kind of disingenuous because it's like Momonosuke should be Shogun by rights, right? So Fukurokoju, if he's really honorable, he should be following Momonosuke. And like he should be like, okay, the true heir of of the Shogun seat is here. You know.
He seems more bureaucratic in the sense that because it came from supposedly the previous shogun's mouth, that now, Orochi's the shogun. He's like, well, them's is the rule. So,
but he said until Odin. Oh well, yeah. It was. Never mind. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. You know, I could see that. So, back at Tokage Port, we get. I guess Law's crew. They're like shocked. You know, they're like, oh, it's Kaido. And then the next page, we get this big dragon, like Luffy looking at this big dragon who, of course, is Momonosuke. Come to find out it's Momonosuke. And we kind of get that flashback of when they first met each other and he was in the dragon form. And Momonosuke thought Luffy was going to eat him. And Luffy says, Momonosuke, is that you? And he said, indeed. And he said he's 28. He said, by Lord, our Shinobu says, by Lord Momonosuke's request, he is now age 28. And she's just bawling her eyes out, crying. And then she says, my Lord, you look just like...
I see that's you referring to.
And we don't see... Now, my thoughts is she's talking about Odin. I mean, I think that's pretty much the only person that could really look like.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
And then we get Luffy saying, come on, Momo, let's go take back Wano. And then he says, right. And then it says, to be continued. And there's no break next week. There is no break next week, which I'm happy for. I gotta get a water after that.
Yeah. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna look at the comments. So Salamander Red pointed out something that I didn't actually know. So thank you for pointing it out. But the color spread was actually about the top 50, most popular characters by votes in the international poll. And then DJ Red says that next week we're going to get the second part of that. So, yeah, I thought there was something off screen, but I was like, it's no big deal. I don't know what that is. I'm sure there's some weird reason. I didn't think about, there's more to the spread.
Yeah. Any more comments? I'm kind of lost in where the comments.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know where we at on the comments.
Since Ashura Doji was avenged by... I guess he'd be avenged by killing Kankuro? Sorry.
Kanjuro?
Kanjuro?
Yeah.
The Naruto ninja.
But Kanjuro is supposedly dead?
Yeah, supposedly. So I don't even know if we can say that. But I think, to avenge somebody, I think it takes a degree of personal investment. And I don't think Ashura even takes anything personal in this in a micro way. In like such a small way of like, I'm going to explode to take out Kanjuro. First of all, he's making that choice himself.
Yeah. Like he went in there knowing he was going down.
Yeah, so I wouldn't even look at it as him being avenged. He's just doing his duty to, try to attack him.
Yeah.
And then we see, don't you think Toki's double fruit would create inconsistencies and plot holes in the manga? I don't think so, because the way her powers work is that they can only go forward.
Yeah.
And as far as we see, there's nothing like, she sees the pre-written history of this or that, or she probably, just like many other people, have an inkling to certain things. It's like, I know there's some place I want to be. I don't know exactly what it is, but I want to get there. We've seen that with Rogers. Like, I know something's gonna happen in the future. I don't know exactly what. He's no different. Toki having that perspective is no different than anyone else that
Yeah.
we've seen have that type of ideology.
Yeah, if she was
So as
able
long
to,
as it's just going forward, it's fine. If it was going backwards, that'd be a little different.
yeah, if she was like the Flash, just messing up the timeline, then yeah, that could be a dangerous thing to mess with.
Speaking of Toki's double fruit, so Momonosuke, Shinobu was hesitant to use her powers on Momonosuke. There's probably some effect, maybe more so than just his mind not maturing. But it's possible maybe because of Toki's devil fruit being the whole reason Momonosuke's ate in the first place. Maybe two devil fruits interacting with one another will have, unexpected results.
Yeah.
Maybe there won't be any backfires to Momonosuke. Maybe there'll be some advantages. I don't know, but I just think maybe with two devil fruits in the mix, there might be some more to it than just Momonosuke's body being aged 20 years.
Yeah, like I think they're like I don't like I think he's still gonna have that mind of a child of an 8-year-old, because he just he didn't have like at the end of the day everybody is their experiences. You know what I'm saying? Like you're made who you are now is a collective of all your experiences, through life, and he only have like a very limited amount of experiences, but regardless if his body is aged or not, because he still was Boost 20 years in the future. He didn't live those 20 years.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, I mean, a couple topics, like a couple things that kind of stood out to me on this chapter was the land of gods that I guess Whitebeard was talking to Marco about.
Mm-hmm.
The land of gods. And, he brought up Mary Joa, and then and that kind of made me think, like, is there any connection to the land of gods in God Valley?
Well, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
And what about like the sun god? Was is the sun god related to the land of gods?
I do think there's definitely should be something to that because sun god, we can draw connections between sun god and stuff that happened in Skypiea, and those are winged creatures. And King is referred to as a Lunarian, and in Enel's cover story, he went to the moon, and it showed that possibly the winged creatures we know, winged people that we know from Skypiea, both the Shandorians and I forget what, I guess you could just say Skypeans, they were both, there's both signs of them coming from the moon. Whether or not they originate from there, they were at least there at some point in the past.
Yeah.
And Luna obviously refers to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just, I felt as though this, like, especially since we got the Wano, we've been talking a lot about gods. We talk about sun gods. We talked about the sun god at one point. Now he's talking about the land of gods, and one thing this chapter really brought up, because the moon was also brought up a lot in this chapter. Like the Lunarians, or when the Sulong form, you know what I'm saying? Like Nekomamushi and Inuyasha both going into their Sulong forms when they get under the moon, right? So, like, is there a possibility of a moon god?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because we talking about gods now. We've talked about the sun god. We're talking about the land of gods. Who are all these gods in this land? If there were really gods, of course, but
Yeah, I've had ever since I really started my understanding hockey theory, I've thought about how there could be quote unquote gods within One Piece. and how they're really not exactly gods, but people that have reached, attained enlightenment, and became notable figures who then, along history, then become referred to as gods
Mm-hmm.
when they look at them in the past. Just how if you think like, oh, they say Buddha was a real person, or they say Jesus was a real person, and you look at, oh, there's someone from a certain point in history, but now are revered as like deities now, or deity like.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. I get it, man. I was just kind of like looking up like moon gods, like
Mm-hmm.
like in history, because
Yeah.
um, Otis talks a lot about goes a lot about when it comes to history.
Um, Moon is often. I'm just thinking about this now. I should probably make a note of it. But moons are often associated with the ocean, because of the tides,
Yeah,
and maybe a moon god did something to the ocean and water in general, the sea, which then affects devil fruits.
yeah, yeah.
And in Wano, I made a whole video how there's so much, connecting the sun to Wano, but the moon is also very connected to Wano,
Yeah.
uh, because
The what's called
the five families.
uh yeah, what was it, Momonosuke and Odin, their clan. I'm forgetting.
Kozuki's.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Kazuki.
five out of the oh no, four out of the five families actually refer to the moon, and the only one that doesn't refer to the moon is actually the Kurozumis, which is Orochi and Kanjo's clan.
Mm-hmm.
But the other ones, they do refer in their name, referring to the moon in some way.
Yeah, it makes sense. So all right. Another thing I wanted to point out about the chapter that kind of stuck was what Sanji was talking about when he said something about the suit. Like ever since he put on the suit, his body's been feeling off.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking either potential drawback or benefit to the raid suit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to think. Could it be a drawback that he's feeling, or could it be something that's actually enhanced? Like maybe the raid suit when he wears it, it enhances his body. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
he's
so my
just not.
mind just like instantly went, oh, that it's like some kind of incoming power up.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like if it's a benefit,
Yeah.
it could be strengthening his body or something, and he's just not able to catch up to it yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I figured, maybe there's some delayed effects in the experimentation that was done to him, before he was born. Because they were done, like, he was experimented on. It's just assumed that whatever Sora did reversed the effects and turned him to a regular human.
Yeah.
But maybe there's still something in his DNA that could be awakened.
Yeah. That like maybe his like DNA, right? Like his Vinsmoke DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Like what his brothers and sisters, his brothers and
Yeah.
sisters have. How he was kind of like a. He didn't get the benefits that they got. Like he was just normal
Mm-hmm.
compared to them, and he had to like really actually train and fight to get stronger. But maybe him wearing that raid suit unlocks that DNA. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe his body, his DNA that his brothers kind of were born like, like maybe his cells, like maybe there's some cells that he had that just haven't been active, like they've been inactive but his brothers and sisters, their cells are active, and maybe him wearing that suit like activates that, and now his body is catching up to like his brothers, and which would be scary because he's already tough without having their DNA, you know, or having their body and their strength and stuff.
It's poetic.
I think that would be a very logical way Oda could give Sanji a significant like power up, and it makes sense without it just being like some type of ass pull that Sanji is all of a sudden stronger. You know, like maybe his cells just needed that activation, and the raid suit does that. You know.
Okay. Let me look at the comments. It was paused. If something was going on, I couldn't see my chat for a little while, so I'm about to catch up. I'm like skimming by. I see a comment. It just says "Too long, Zorro." WTF? Question mark? Question mark. I don't even know the context of that. Okay.
Too long, Zorro.
Yeah. So, Sulong form and the energy steroids Hodu Jones takes gives people white hair and red eyes. Maybe the mink recovery drugs are energy steroids. I mean, that's a good point. Like, I wouldn't think that it is energy steroids because energy steroids never shown to actually heal. But being related to energy steroids, I definitely think there's something to that. You know, I always feel like there's constantly been shown some link. Like, there's so many relations you can draw between Fishman Society, Ming Society, the Kozukis. If you just look at, there's like so many similarities. Like, they're just different deviations of each other. So it may not be exactly energy steroids. It could legitimately, the steroids isn't exactly a healing thing, but it could be a remedy that uses some kind of secret ingredient that the energy steroids also uses.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But now I understand this Sulong Zoro. He is kind of animalistic, so I don't know. We'll see what can be made of that. We have here Cliche Fiction says, "Hi man, what do you think of Shiki coming back?" At this point, it's hard to imagine Shiki coming back in a significant way, but for Wano would have been a great place, obviously, because Shiki seems like so Japanese themed. But even if it's not in a major way, would Shiki come back? I do think Zoro. Zoro is the god of One Piece. I'm not even gonna say Oda's name anymore. No. Oda laid the groundwork for this in one of the flashbacks where the old hag Kurozumi is talking to Orochi, and one of the faces she uses to show off, her powers that she can shapeshift, appears to be a young Shiki. So that's kind of Oda's way of saying, I haven't forgot about this guy. I still think of him.
Yeah.
So it could, I think he could come back. It's hard to imagine in a major way, but who knows?
Yeah.
So then we see, yes, a Sulong.
I'm trying to keep up with the comments too.
Insane. Toki's devil fruit is almost like a safeguard in case fans disagree with a certain outcome. Toki can change the plot tremendously. Momo still joined the crew and will get trained by Zoro possibly. Like I said, those are two different things. But Toki can change a plot, but how much can she change a plot?
She's dead.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know for 100%.
Well, yeah, that's true. We don't know
1,000% that she's dead, but I don't think she can. I mean, if you're getting technical, anybody can change a plot, and no one can change a plot except Oda. Like, that's just how it works. Oda can just write a character that changes the plot. So in a technical sense, I mean, that's not unique to Toki. If you're just saying, like, well, she has time powers, if you're looking at it from a standpoint of Deus Ex Machinas, just some random Mary Sue character, or just anybody that's overpowered, that is exclusive to time powers. Anybody can just be ridiculously strong. Maybe Shanks just comes out of nowhere whenever Luffy needs it. It doesn't take time powers. If Oda was that type of writer, if you look at Fairy Tail, the infamous Fairy Tail, he's always like, "Oh, my friends, whatever." He powers up, he defeats the person because of power of friendship.
Yeah.
No time powers involved there. It's just bad writing because it's just like, whenever you need it, you just have a friendship power up.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like it's a matter of can someone do something? Should someone do something? Just because he has the tools to save somebody with Toki's powers, that doesn't mean it's actually going to go that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think him putting that safeguard of her, because you can't really manipulate time in the future,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you could go to the future and try to like do something. Like,
Yeah,
you
you
can
don't
manipulate.
know what the future's like though.
Yeah, but even then, you're just going to rewrite the future from there. You ain't going to rewrite the past or what's the present, So, I think what Oda did was to keep her power in check. I think he made it to where her power would stay in check, and it wouldn't be able to have any major repercussions on the overall story. What else we got?
Well, in the same comment, it was like two different things in the comment. It says, do you think Momo would join the crew and Zoro train him? I don't really see it.
Yeah, I don't see it
happening. I never took Zoro as the type to be like a sensei. Like, sure, he taught Momo something here and there. Yeah. But I also think when he's teaching a little kid, it's gonna be a little different than him teaching a 28-year-old. Momo as a kid, he was awarded so many things. Oh, I can't wait to see this new adult Momo try to interact with Nami and Robin. But yeah, I don't see it the same way now that he's older.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would join the crew regardless, but now
yeah, me neither.
I see even less incentive. I think if he was a kid, it would have brought a bit of unique dynamic. Now he's more of an adult. Now it seems like he's being more suited to be the Shogun of Wano, which if he is going to be the Shogun of Wano, he's obviously not going to be able to do it alone. He's going to need people there to help guide him. And I think that if it comes to that, in an ironic twist, it might be Yamato might be one of those people that sticks around and protects Momo.
Yeah.
Because, she wants to leave so bad, and Kaido's saying, stay and rule over Wano. So I think it would be, like, in an ironic way, she might make the decision herself to actually stay over and help look over Wano in her own way. And that'll be, like, one of the truest ways of showing freedom is doing what somebody wanted you to do, but you reclaiming it for yourself and doing it your way.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I agree with most of what you said, except maybe Yamato staying. I kind of think she may join the crew because I think she does want to leave Wano and be like Odin. But I mean, as far as Momonosuke joining the crew, I've always been of the belief that Momonosuke should stay in Wano. Like, Wano need the Kazuki back to establish, like they need I think they need Momonosuke back because they need somebody there. They need a Kazuki there to figurehead, as far as them repairing and being the society they were. And I know a lot of people would say Hiyori, but I always kind of look at like Japanese traditions because Wano is based off of Japan, and like those old like historic cultures back in the day, they were real strict about like women ruling, especially if a male is available to rule.
Yeah, I don't think Kaido being defeated is automatically going to make him just go, oh yeah, we're progressive now. Like, that wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah.
If Oda was laying down the groundwork for that to happen, if we'd seen points in the story we can go, oh, that could be something, but we haven't seen anything. It's like Kyoria basically doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
So it would be a really weird twist for that to happen, and it'd be very hard to believe that the people of Wano just accept that so quickly.
Yeah. I mean, she is kind of loved, and like I could see her taking on like a helpful role, but it's just traditionally, like, you know, societies want men to, like, they want the male heir. That's why, like, you see kings, they always fight. They always like want to have a son. It's always like, I have to produce a son. I have to produce a son. They could have 30 daughters and they would not be satisfied until they get at least one son, because they want him to be the heir, you know. And I mean, somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Japanese tradition ran like that. I don't have no sources or anything to prove that, but
I'm pretty sure. There's one way I could see it is if somehow, some way, she got the finishing blow on Kaido and it's credited with his death. If that somehow happened, that's really the only way I could see it being like, oh, now Hiyori's Shogun. Other than that, it doesn't really make sense.
All right, we get through these.
It says, do you think Bonnie will come to Wano to de-age Momo? And if she does, will Beijing and Rouge come to complete the supernovas? I don't see it going that way. I mean, maybe much earlier on in this arc, maybe all the supernovas got. But at this point, this far along, it really doesn't seem like anybody else is joining. I mean, look at all the Toby Roppo that got defeated. This seems like it's about to be a decisive battle between King, Queen, Sanji, and Zorro. Yeah. So for the supernovas to show up at this point, it just doesn't seem very likely.
Yeah. I would say, whenever people ask like questions like this, I always ask, like, why would Bonnie go to Wano? You know, like, that's what I would have to, like, what reason would Bonnie be going to Wano? You know, like, that's kind of where I would ask. And if I can't think of a reason, then, you know, I'm gonna say I don't think so. You know, like, just to show up, just to be there for story purpose. Like, there has to be a reason she would go to Wano. You know, so I mean, I don't see it happening. As far as her de-aging Momonosuke, that's actually an interesting idea. Like, I don't see her going to Wano for it, but maybe if, like, somehow they came across paths, it could possibly happen. But, you know, and then maybe let Momonosuke have an actual childhood. But I kind of think that might be out of the question at this point. They need him as the Shogun. Yeah, they need him as the Shogun, and, you know, at least in this arc, at least. But him being a grown up kind of makes sense at this point, you know.
Yeah. Sozo says, I just noticed Oda didn't create a devil fruit that travels back in time. Yeah, that's like, just as a general rule in making a story, you gotta be like super extra 1010% prepared to add time travel to the past in your story, because it's just so easy to make plot hole upon plot hole upon plot hole. It's very rare that you see a story that has backwards time travel that you can't go, well, then why didn't this happen, or why did that happen? Blah, 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 you know. So yeah, it makes sense.
Like DC and Marvel, like, dabbles in stuff like that, like, especially DC in this, and but they really expand on it, so, you know, they can do that, you know.
They can afford it because they can create, oh, here's this timeline, here's that timeline, you know. But a manga is just one story.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
he says if Bonnie is in the cover spread, she's gonna show up, because in the Waldo cover, an L was seen, so they possibly will show up. But the D could be descendants from a land above, possibly. So just to break that, the cover spreads, I usually never give that too much weight. I feel like it's always something little obscure.
Yeah, unless if it's a cover story, that's one thing. Cover stories are, but just a normal cover spread, a lot of times it's just, you know, you kind of gotta take them with a grain of salt, because a lot of times it's fans just requesting something. Like, they might want to see Zorro picking flowers on the top of Zoe's back or something. Like, I don't know. Like, but it's not gonna have any bearing on the overall story.
So then we have the D's being the descendants from the land above. I could see that. I could definitely see there being something to that. I definitely don't think that the celestial dragons are from the land above. I think they're just people that wanted to live there, so eventually they made it happen. But they're originally from just Earth. They're from the kingdom.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why they hate the D so much. That was their rightful place.
Yeah.
I could see that being a thing. I could also see them being related to being from below, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
A little bit later. Sanji's raid suit could be from Devil Fruit Element. I don't.
I don't know.
I can't say that that's not a thing. I think all of Judge's, not just the raid suit, but just the enhanced human beings are related to Devil Fruits. They're related to the lineage factors, which I think can have some relation to Devil Fruits. I mean, just look at what they say about Momonosuke's Devil Fruit is made from Kaido's Devil Fruit. So, yeah, I think there's something to that. I think it's not so much that they're made from Devil Fruits, but rather what makes them are similar to what creates Devil Fruits.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know how to touch on that question. I mean, like, that's an interesting theory. Like, it could definitely be the case. Like, I don't have anything to dispute against that or anything to actually support that theory, but like, it could definitely be the case. He says your stream is buffering.
Let's see.
Salamander Red said that.
Yeah. Let me pull up the stream. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it been acting weird like this whole time for me.
Let's see what could that be.
I'll read.
It definitely is.
I'll read another chat while you're doing that. DJ Red comment said, I agree with Sean because Sanji's raid suit could be activating his DNA. That's why Judge could have told his sister to give it to him. Judge may help purposely kick him out too. I mean, that could definitely be the case. I mean, I think we did see like Judge probably could have stopped Sanji if he wanted to, but he just was like whatever. Like, I think he's seen Sanji escaping and he just kind of allowed it because he was like, hey, whatever. But yeah, that raid suit, man. Like, I think it could be activating some of his, like, because again, he's been experimented on just like his brothers, but they kind of looked at him as the failed one. He didn't have no abilities, so maybe with whatever was giving his brothers and his sister that superhuman strength and stuff, maybe it was just dormant within him, and something like the raid suit, which was made for his biology, woke that up, Yeah, but yeah. You got anything for that?
Yeah, I just think it's so hard to believe that Judge would be like that. I mean, it's like he has to just be committed to his acting role of being a terrible dad, but maybe like subconsciously, or maybe he just has his ego and his pride and he doesn't want to admit it, or something along those lines.
I mean, I genuinely do think that Judge was like he didn't like Sanji, and I think he allowed Sanji to go because to him Sanji was more of a burden. And I think he just he did care for him enough not to want to kill him, or not enough to actually kill him. Because I think he said that, right? Mm-hmm. It was like, I would kill you, but
you're still my son.
Yeah, so you leaving is easy. You're getting rid of yourself without me having to kill you. And if you die out there, then whatever. But yeah, I think Judge wanted Sanji to leave. And I think him giving Sanji the raid suit was more of like payback for saving him. Mm-hmm. And he said Judge may have purposely let Sanji leave in order for him to be the strongest because he had emotions unlike his brothers and sisters. Hey man, we could find out that Judge could have been like the nicest guy. And maybe he just was tough on them because he wanted them to be stronger. I don't know. You know, Oda would throw a curve like that, so I think that's a very possible, or that could be very likely. Is what I'm saying.
And it could have been like a controlled experiment.
Could have.
And he's still just heartless, but he's going about it in some weird way.
Sozo said Okama Zoro is greater than Sulong Zoro. We didn't even get to see Sulong Zoro yet. Like, nah, but Salamander Red says stream. Oh, I read that one already.
Yeah.
Sozo says.
I'm gonna see if I just keep it on today's topic screen. Maybe that'll help it out.
I mean, they could go to my stream. I think my stream's doing a shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think. Let me go to my stream real quick. Yeah, my stream's working fine. So yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna move on to finish talking a little bit about the chapter since we got a lot of the comments out of the way at the moment. So we got King being a Lunarian, and now I don't think it was officially stated he was a Lunarian, but I think we could all kind of come to, a reasonable conclusion that King is a Lunarian from when Queen, brought up Lunarian, and King kind of looked up like, what are you talking about? Like, and plus, King creates the fire, like he could produce fire, and Queen was asking Sanji, like, are you a Lunarian because you could create the fire? So I think it's pretty much confirmed that he is a Lunarian. But what do you think about like the Lunarians being from the land of gods?
Yeah, I think they first of all they look like angels, so it makes sense. And they clearly have supernatural powers. So it could be that maybe they don't consider themselves gods, but the people looked at them as if they were gods.
Yeah.
And they dubbed that place, oh, this is the land of gods.
Yeah. Yeah, cause like, so I got Sozo. What it say? Sozo just subscribe. Appreciate the subscription, Sozo. He said, "Yo, I am everywhere." Yes, you are indeed. Welcome to my channel, Sozo. I appreciate having you here. Welcome. I try to do One Piece content every Sunday. But yeah, so about King, about Lunarians, like, I don't know, man. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence of them being in the same chapter with like them bringing up the land of gods, and then we find out King is a Lunarian. But
I'm assuming they're referring to him.
Yeah,
because it was a follow. It was a continuation of what Marco was talking about last chapter. He talks about that last chapter. Then he starts thinking of that. It only makes sense. He's thinking of literally what he was just talking about last chapter, which is in reference to Lunarian. So which is reference to King, So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it'd be taken as any way, but it was about King.
And when you think about like the land of gods, right? Like when you think of Skypiea, Skypiea
Yeah.
has so many references to
Mm-hmm.
like the Void
Oh,
Century,
perfect.
the history, like the
Mm-hmm.
Sun God, things like that. So it would make sense for maybe King being like a Skypean, or like I don't know what like a Lunarian, which look kind of like Skypeans.
So
Him
that's
having
actually,
what's up?
I was saying that's a perfect segue to my conversation. Does hell exist in One Piece?
Yeah, let's go
So,
then. Let's go.
so if you go to Skypiea, the first thing you see is called Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
Take that off so you can actually see it. It's referred to as Heaven's Gate. I mean, it's literally like saying, "Hey, this place is heaven." Now, obviously, it's not actually heaven, which is why I refer to, if you look at my topic, I put hell in quotation marks. So, like, Skype is considered heaven in quotation marks. It's not literally heaven, but there's still a reference to it.
Yeah.
Now, the these Lunarian, if we refer to King, there's something about him where it's like clearly there's something angelic about him, but also
Mm-hmm.
there's something obviously demonic about him.
Yeah. The fact that he's fiery with angel wings.
And he's covered in black. He clearly has some horns. I don't know if those horns are part of his outfit or maybe it's part of his body. It's like there's clearly something very demonic going. And if you notice, his outfit is like the jailers from Impel Down, and
Yeah.
Impel Down is referred to as hell.
Real quick question: Was
Yeah,
King's wings white or are they black?
I'm pretty sure they're black. I mean,
Okay. All right.
yeah, I mean they literally look black. At least in the manga, I can't imagine the anime would interpret it as white. It'd be weird. Um, so yeah, they must be black
Yeah.
unless he dyed them. Who knows? He was like trying to get the whole fit together, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta make these wings white."
I gotta look demonic.
But yeah. So obviously, there's something demonic going on there. It's not like the Skypeans. Like the Skypeans obviously look angelic.
Mm-hmm.
At least they got the wings for it, and they call the place heaven. I mean, you can't get any more obvious than that. So the question is, if there's a quote unquote heaven, is there a quote unquote hell? And King's race might be like someone who frequented in both areas. Now, if you notice, when Marco was talking about King's race from Mungo, he referenced the red line. And it's like, why reference the red line if you're talking about people who live in the sky? You would
Mm-hmm.
even, there's no point in referencing the red line. If someone lived up in the clouds, that wouldn't be like, oh, you lived on the Empire State Building. It's like you live in the clouds, you live in the clouds, you live above all of that.
Yeah.
But he says the red line specifically, and the red line is not just a place that's high up. It's like literally Earth itself. It's just a huge mass of rock, of Earth.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some point in the red line that will not only take you like down to ground level, but can take you underground. Because the reason this place is referred to as heaven is because, well, the sea itself is literally cloud. They called it White Sea, I think.
Yeah.
Their sea is made of clouds, so it resembles heaven. What if there's a sea underground, below the earth,
You know
that is made
something?
of magma,
Can I
like a
say
Red
something?
Sea? Yeah.
Can I say something? So we got the land of gods, which was referred to in Mary Joa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you look at God Valley, and you look at the valley, right? A valley is usually like kind of like the lowest point of between mountains, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or hills. So it's kind of a low point compared to like a
Yeah.
high point, which would be where heaven would be with a high point, and hell, figuratively when we look
Yeah.
at like fiction and stuff, hell is usually portrayed to be in the sky or high or something, you know, where hell was like low or in like a valley. You know what I'm saying? But that's just kind of to bounce off what you're saying. But
yeah, I see where you're going with that. So when I think of underground, I mean deep, deep, not even below the seafloor. You know, not fisherman level deep. I'm talking real deep, like to the Earth's core.
yeah,
And there might be a place down there where there's Red Sea made of magma, and it's all hot and fiery, and it resembles hell.
yeah.
So that might be that hell area. And maybe this is where people, like, you look at Moria, you look at Kaido, you look at these certain characters that have this, like, demonic thing to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why do these people exist? Why do they look like that? It's never really been explained. It's never been shown, oh, this is why Moria looks like that and who he's related to or what race he's a part of. It's never, there's no explanation. We're just supposed to look at it and take it at face value.
Yeah.
So that's where these people could come from. Interestingly enough, there was this, you know, popular theory. I'm sure you've seen it. It's like the greatest One Piece theory. And they talk about how they're, you know, maybe the One Piece is in Enies Lobby.
I'm mad you said that
ground.
Because I was about to say that I did a reaction video. All right.
Yeah. So
like if you go back to my videos, it was a reaction video about, I want to say 3 videos ago. Like not my last One Piece stream, but the stream before that. I did a stream to that video where it was like they was talking about Ennis Lobby. They was talking about, I don't want to give too much because I'd rather people go and watch it.
Yeah.
But it brought up Ennis Lobby and how you had that dip. You know, you had the waterfalls going down, and how that was related to Jaya and Sky P. You know, like the whole map. You know how you got the Skull Island of where Jaya was, or where Shandor, where they lived, and then they said one part of it was shot into the sky, and the other part was fell under, like went deep into the earth. And then you see how Ennis Lobby is like. Ennis Lobby, if you take Ennis Lobby, you could probably fit it into that left eye.
Yeah.
And if you see a lot of clues, like you look at Zorro, his left eye is cut, right? And there was like a cover story with Luffy who was like blinking his left eye, and Jaya is missing a left eye, which looked like, you know what I'm saying, which was shot into the, or no. I think the right eye of Jaya was shot into the sky, and the left eye looked like it could have sunk into the ocean. Were like kind of like how Ennis Lobby looks. So I mean, hey, I'm not gonna get too much on that theory, but I did do a reaction video to that theory. Go check. It's O'Hara best theory ever, best One Piece theory ever. Or let me make sure that's the title of my video. Yeah, it's One Piece discussion, the best One Piece theory ever. But my bad, I kind of interrupted you.
I'm glad you like gave a explanation of where I was going with that, which is like, you know, when I saw that video, that's the first thing, because I've had this little theory in mind, but it's like there's not much to build off or like go into it. But I just figured now's the best time to just say, like, throw it out there that maybe there is a hell. You know, maybe, you know, there's sea in the sky and there's sea below the ground. Deep, deep underground, where you find magma and stuff, and that, you know, maybe this might relate to Akainu, and you know, there could be so many ways that this can factor in. I think that I've always thought this because it just doesn't make sense. Like the way my brain works is that if there's something that doesn't have an answer, I'm gonna try to figure out, well, what could the answer be? What would make sense? So as soon as I saw like people like Kaido, Magellan, Moria, I was like, where could these people come from? And it's like they clearly, if you think about it, if there's people with angel wings that come from the sky, then where do you think these people who look demonic come from? It would only make sense. It's the opposite answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my whole
or
does hell exist topic.
If you think about it in a biblical sense, right? What I could imagine happening, right? maybe all these Skypeans, they lived in the, all together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And King's people, like they might have all lived in land of God. Like they might have all lived in the land of gods. Like all the species of the Sky people, like they was probably always looked at as gods. And maybe King's people were like kicked out of that, out of the land and sent to like a hellish place almost.
Yeah. It could be like a place that's like super hard to get out of, and you just gotta be lucky. Like there could be like a whole civilization down there, people that feel just trapped. They can't go anywhere. And
Maybe
only
it could
like
be
lucky
God's
few
Valley.
can get out of there.
Maybe it could have been God's like God's Valley disappeared, remember?
Yeah.
Maybe it sunk to But God's Valley probably might have been relatively new compared to King's Peak. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. God's Valley was inhabited by the Celestial Dragons.
Yeah.
But if you think about the Celestial Dragons may have, taken over Mary Joa, and they might have taken over God's Valley. Like these are just places that didn't belong to them at first, and they just took over.
Yeah.
So there's still merit to that. I wouldn't dismiss it so fast. I think.
Yeah, and if King is the last of his people, then I would think his people had to go extinct near to when he was young. You know what I'm saying? And he's not like, I don't think he's old enough to have been around the Void Century, unless he's like old as hell and his people just got long lifespans. But like,
what's unique about his people is I think that he was of both. Like his people could go up to the sky and also go to the underground sea.
Yeah.
If this thing is true, because it would make sense in both aspects. He has features of demon and angel.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe God Valley was like at one point maybe it belonged to his people. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how I would put that all together, but but yeah. Or maybe God Valley had nothing to do with him at all. There's always that. But yeah, but that's interesting. That's definitely interesting, especially that One Piece theory, that one about Enies Lobby being part of Jaya.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but moving on.
What we have is a quick one. Is where is Kaido's poneglyph? I mean, this is gonna be unbelievably quick. Literally, I just thought, well, where could it be? Where could he be hiding it? I mean, an easy answer is, it's just somewhere buried in Wano or whatever. Maybe it's under the castle or something. It's under Onigashima, somewhere in Onigashima. That's an easy answer. Most likely it's gonna be something like that. And then I thought, what if Kaido's poneglyph is inside of Kaido? What if he ate it as a dragon?
I don't know why.
Somewhere inside of his dragon body.
I don't know why that idea came to my, like, I don't know why that thought came to my head right before you said that. Like I was thinking like, is he thinking of like Kaido possibly eat?
I mean, it would be a really good hiding space. I mean,
but wouldn't it like still be the same size? Wouldn't it still be the same size if it was any?
Well, if you think about like devil fruit magic, like Chopper's clothes grows and shrinks alongside him.
That's true.
Stuff
Luffy.
like that. I look at Kaido's
Luffy's
bangles. He has those like bangles on his arm with the spikes.
Mm-hmm.
Those grow and shrink with his dragon form.
Luffy's clothes.
Yeah, I mean,
he's
not a zone, but if you look at Caribou, he could just put anything inside of his body because that's just the way devil fruit. That's just devil fruit magic. He could just put an entire gigantic mermaid princess inside of his body. Yeah. So that's a possibility. The poneglyph. He ate the poneglyph.
That'd be funny. That'll definitely be funny. Dang. Yeah, I mean it's possible right there.
Yeah, just wanted to throw that one out there.
That's a wild one, but but I also wanted to talk about Zorro being a possibly, because not it wasn't confirmed or anything, but Zorro being part of the Shimotsuki clan. Now, like somebody said in your comments about like Zorro backstory, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one thing I've been like preaching for the longest was Wino being Zorro's arc, where we get a little more of his backstory. So yeah, I definitely, I was definitely waiting to talk about that because I was excited about that. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and I've always been a somebody who talked about Zoro being a descendant of Ryuma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I want to say, uh, well, I was, I was talking to somebody who, I want to say his name. I'm, right now, and I'm, hold on. Let me. I'm mad. I forgot his name. My boy, Mafi. My boy Mafi. He always just kept going. Oh, Zoro's a Shimoski. Zoro's a Shimoski. That's his name in the Discord. That's been his
Mm-hmm.
name for a while in our One Piece
Oh,
Discord. Which
nice.
if
I'm
follow
sure
the
he's super
Discord,
excited
go
about
on the
that.
link,
Yeah.
join the One Piece manga talk Discord where we talk about I like to focus mostly on the manga in this Discord, not just you know. But he always goes off talking about Zoro being a Shimoski, and I think knowing, and I've always preached how I feel as though Zoro is a descendant of Ryuma, and now
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though me and his theory just
Yeah, they converge into
united,
each other.
it converged. So it's like both of us was right, like,
Yeah.
or if Zoro is indeed a Shimoski, like if if one of us is right, we're both right because we
Yeah.
discovered that Ryuma is indeed a Shimotsuki as well. What are your thoughts on that on this revelation?
Zoro's backstory, and this isn't to say like I don't care about Zoro. He's actually my favorite Straw Hat. I don't actually care that much about his backstory. I don't feel like his backstory matters so much to what his character would be. I feel like we can know about his backstory and we cannot know about his backstory, and it won't change his trajectory that much of who he is and his character. I
Yeah.
don't think Zoro really cares about his backstory that much. And okay, I shouldn't say I don't care about it, but it's not. I do care about it, but it's not something I think about
Mm-hmm.
reading it. I'm like, when it comes, it's gonna come, and I'm gonna enjoy it,
Yeah.
no matter what it is. Whether it's something that's like quick or it's something that has meat to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if there's too much to it, it's a disservice to who Zoro's character is.
Yeah.
Because Zoro's just not that type of person to really care that much about his character. So it's like Sanji, obviously, it means a lot to him. Where he comes from. He has an emotional investment. He gets triggered by the thought of anybody referring to him as a Vinsmoke. So
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense we got so much about it. But Zoro, it's not. He's just not the same character in that way.
I get it, and I don't, like for me, it doesn't have to be something too, over the top. Like he's the son of a king, or like I never
Mm-hmm.
really cared about that. It's just for me, it's just some layers added. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
a little more layers added to who he is. I feel as though it never really does a disservice to give a character more layers. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to give
It's
him
to
like
me, it's
make
like a garnish.
yeah. You don't have to make him super complex to where like we find out that Sanji is a prince. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But it don't always have to be that. But just to know that okay, Zoro is related to Ryuma.
Mm-hmm.
Something simple like that. Another character that we're familiar with that we kind of grew to like. Salamander Red said, like the stream. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, my brother. Or sister. I don't want to assume, but appreciate it. But yeah, so
Salamander. I mean, sorry, Sozo. Well, I want you to finish. Sorry.
go ahead.
What he says is, oh, okay. he says, and I actually agree with this sentiment a lot, which is that the One Piece location theories are good, but they have no importance. It doesn't matter where the One Piece is. It's important. What's important is the nature of the One Piece treasure. I mean, I don't wholeheartedly stand by like that. It has no importance, but to me, I thought that was a great theory. But to me, where it is doesn't matter so much. I think appreciating the cleverness, if that is the place of like all the clues, is cool. But like, I don't really care that much about where it is. I feel like
Yeah,
there's so much more to it that like what it is actually is what's going
yeah,
to be the most important.
yeah. I kind of agree with what you just said. It's more about like that creativeness of its location. It's not, like I don't care what the name of it. Like the island don't really matter, but like the theory about it possibly being in the depths of in its lobby. It for me, like the reason why I kind of like that theory is because it's like it would make sense
Mm-hmm.
why nobody could find it because it's not easily accessible. You know what I'm saying? So it just I feel as though the creativeness of why it's so hard to find is the not importance of it, but the charm of it. If that
Yeah.
makes sense, it's the charm of it. Like because if it's like on in the ocean somewhere, it's like, well, why haven't nobody came across it? Like somebody has had to come across it at some point.
The only thing I can think of about it is if it is at the NH lobby, that would mean like how could the world government not know that that is the location? And
Maybe
if
they
they
do
know that
know.
that's the location, why isn't it better guarded?
I feel as though I can answer that. I feel as though it's like it's hiding in plain sight type. Like that's what keeps it secure. Nobody is thinking that the One Piece is in this endless bot or this bottomless waterfall. You know what I'm saying? And even if people knew it, who's going to take the
Mm-hmm.
trip down there? You know what I'm saying?
Well, clearly, see what you're saying makes sense if nobody ever found it. But if you know someone already found it and said, "Hey, people, it exists. Go look for it," that kind of changes things.
I
It's different when nobody knows it's there, because
I
then it's like you're battling the unknown. You're
yeah
battling, you know.
yeah
If they were banking on that, well, why would they bank on it? Because they obviously failed. Somebody already found it, so it wouldn't make sense for them to be invested in that strategy when they already know
yeah. But
it's not
but
going to
like
work out.
it's kind of like the reason why I think it's smart is because one, it's in this lobby, right? They put in this lobby
Mm-hmm.
over there, made it a government headquarters. For that reason alone, people not going to want to like mess with it. They're not going to want to
Mm-hmm.
go to a government facility. Second, like it's in a deep, like bottomless pit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so even then, like that makes it even little more unattractive to go to. And three, nobody does know. You know what I'm saying? And maybe if like the government is banking on the fact that people don't know is there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're banking on that. They're banking on the fact that nobody knows it's there, and good thing Roger didn't tell people, or any of his crew. And Salamander Red said geography is everything, quote
That's
unquote, from Tekken.
yeah. There we go.
See, I agree with that. I do. Because I feel as though if it was on a random island, right? Like, what stops somebody from coming across it on accident?
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I don't think it's just going to be a random island.
There has to be something that makes Laugh Tale so hard to get to that it's like you can't just bump into it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it has to be uh what's like some type of challenge to get to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
even if you do discover the location, you still got to get there.
Yeah.
Like if you do get all the poneglyphs, you still got to get there. That's kind of my outlook on it. On that, at least. And so, well, we already talked about Adult Momonosuke. I was going to kind of go over that, but I pretty much covered all the points that I kind of got from the chapter.
Well, I only got 2 more points left.
And you said something about Gear 5th Nightmare Luffy.
So, we've talked about this where there's just so many, there's so much pointing to the souls of the dead being reintroduced into this arc.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a little mini theory not that long ago about like what I think Gear 5th Luffy could, mean. Like, what is it going to make Gear 5th Luffy Gear 5th?
Yeah.
Because if you look at each gear, there's a method to how it happens, and there's a trend along the line. So Gear 2nd is his blood being oxygenated. It involves air, pumping air through his body.
Like his veins widening.
So that's that. Then you have Gear 3rd, in which he's having air through his bones. Obviously, biologically in physics, that doesn't make sense. But the point is that he's just putting air in his bones.
Well, for him it does, though. Because his bones are rubber as well.
Yeah, it would look really weird though if you just like imagine it from a literal sense, but that's just boring. Like,
yeah,
there would be something weird going on.
it does, but in the context that the fact that he's all rubber, it makes a lot of sense. So I don't like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like he's literal, and all his like I feel as though Oda has done a great job of making everything. I would say the only kind of thing that doesn't make sense. I'll say that after I get my point across. But Oda has done a good job of making his abilities and sometimes his random attacks make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because they always have to do with rubber. You know what I'm saying? So other than him, like when he does like Red Hawk and he turns on fire, but that could kind of be explained through hockey.
So you can see the commonality is air, and then you have Gear 4th. You have muscle balloon, again, air. Air and breathing, is the whole concept of this. What also doesn't make sense about Gear 3rd is the fact that at some point, at one point he was like blowing air into himself. Well, he's always blowing air into himself, and what doesn't make sense is like you would already have to have the air inside of you to blow it back inside it,
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense, but the point I'm trying to make is that when you start think of stuff that doesn't make sense, you start think of supernatural and mystical. And there's this concept known as chi. I talked about it to death, but what chi translates to is breath in itself. It's literally the concept of air.
Mm-hmm.
So what if this concept of air, this mystical concept of air, is what Gear 5th is, which is literally means chi and spirit. The root word of spirit is literally Latin for breath.
Okay.
Then you add in what we're talking about with the spirits coming back from the dead.
I see where
I'm going with this?
I kind of see where you're going. Because I've said before, like I believe that we might see some spirits come back. We might see Odin's soul. We might see Ace possibly. We might see the dead scabbers that died. The ones that if all of them aren't dead, we might see the ones that do die. We might. I mean, if Kinemon is dead, he has to come back to make up with Osuru.
Yeah.
Because she still doesn't know of his existence. Yeah, but go ahead. My bad.
No, I like the contribution. So, but I made this theory about Gear 4th Sunman, way before we even knew about a sun god. But then I started thinking about, okay, well, maybe Gear 5th plays into this. And there is he starts going, instead of blank man, pound man, snake man, he starts going god, and he makes a Gear 5th sun god. Now, the thing is, does he just learn this out of nowhere? Does he just pull it out of his ass? Or does he actually, is there some help he gets? At this point, no one's just randomly going to come out of nowhere and train Luffy to do something. But maybe he's been working on something, or maybe he taps into a new energy force. Well, I'll read something I wrote in my Gear Force Sun God theory. This was back before I knew about the Sun God, and I started thinking about maybe it is Gear 5th. But just think about that from that context.
Okay.
But I wrote, why not Gear 5th for Sun God Luffy? So to finish off this theory, I'll address why I don't think this new form would be Gear 5th. Each gear has air or breath in a different way. I'll just skip over that because we just talked about it. Gear 2nd pumps blood, Gear 3rd air, Gear 4th air in the muscles. So this hypothetical fire form really doesn't introduce a new application of Luffy changing his body through air. It's more like a new hockey technique added on to Gear 4. However, with chi being everything and anything, you can look at it as the breath of all things, which is a concept within One Piece. I believe that Gear 5th will incorporate the chi, aka breath, of his surroundings to his body somehow. There's another ability that we know affects the environment that Luffy is expected to use in the future, aka awakening.
Yeah.
His Mastery of Haki and Devil Fruit Awakening will get him in touch with the breath of all things around him, which he will use to create Gear 5th.
Yeah, that's...
that concept, are you familiar with Naruto at all?
Yeah. I've seen
you know Sage Mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, so think
natural
of Sage
energy.
Mode. Yeah, just the energy around you being absorbed into yourself.
I'm a firm believer when it comes to Naruto that chakra is not the universal energy.
Oh, definitely not. We literally know he got it. They got it from Hyogoro.
Yeah.
And he gave it, and then from there. So
it's natural energy is the universal energy of Naruto, I think.
Yeah, I have so much stuff I can write about Naruto. I'm not motivated, but yeah, 100% I agree with that.
Man, don't play like that, Sammer. Salamander Red. He said, Salamander Red said, Luffy sees the souls of Kinemon, Kiku, Ace, etc. And then it has like a kind of a content face. Said Luffy sees Sabo. Wait, what? Hey man, I don't think Oda gonna do that, man. Like that'd be wild right there. That'd be wild. That'd be messed up. That'd be messed up if Oda off kills off panels Sabo's death.
That would be definitely be a savage move.
Or if he did, because we don't know what happened with Sabo. We just know supposedly, I guess he killed somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, but yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure you see where I'm going with this at this point. But let's say you look at Nightmare Luffy, right? It was almost like Luffy gearing up for Gear 4th. It was like the Gear 4th before Gear 4th exists.
Mm-hmm.
What if he gets a new Nightmare Luffy, which is like Gear 5th before he really learns how to use Gear 5th? And in this mode, at some point in the arc, the souls come back, as a lot of people are theorizing, and they actually come back to help out Luffy.
Yeah.
And maybe Big Mom plays a role, or maybe they just find their way. Whatever. That's the method of which isn't really the point. It's more like this new Nightmare Luffy is the souls being put into Luffy, similar to how the shadows were put into Luffy to make that Nightmare Luffy.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some new version made from the souls of the
Also,
dead.
you think Big Mom could actually help Luffy?
I don't know. I just threw that out there, but who knows?
I mean, because if Big Mom helps, this theory could make pretty much a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because Big Mom is Or Brook. I mean, I don't know how Brook would do it, but because Big Mom could actually manipulate souls,
Maybe
Brook has more of a
uses
control.
his music. He uses music to lead the souls of the dead to Luffy.
That's true. I mean, yeah. So
He's
it
a
would be either
guide,
Brook or
like a
Big
shaman.
Mom, huh?
Yeah, he could be like a shaman, a guide of the souls.
Yeah. I mean, he can move souls, and that he can manipulate them with his music, but he's not like Big Mom where he could like just take souls all willy nilly.
A quick shout out to Shaman King. It's on Netflix. I watched that a little while. I thought it was gonna be like just straight up like a kids show.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty dark.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I was like, oh wow, okay, this is pretty good.
I'm gonna check it out. Salamander Red says Luffy getting a giant form would be really fitting too, since Japan is known for kaiju fights. It would actually probably
Luffy gets a giant form, and then Kaido gets a mech. You know, all the All Stars get their own Megazords. They all come together and just start fighting Luffy.
Yeah.
They're already dinosaurs.
But I got like my thing is if that's gonna be, so you're saying it's gonna be a version of Gear 4, right?
It would be no, it would be a Nightmare Luffy. It would be a version of Nightmare Luffy.
Gear 4
would
though,
inspire him. Not even Gear 4. I mean, Nightmare Luffy isn't Gear 4. It's just a form. New form.
Because I'm just saying, like if the Gear 5 is dependent on like having souls, then it would be like a one-off type of thing.
So
it would be its own thing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it'd be its own thing. It's like Nightmare Luffy is its own thing. It just is Luffy when he had the souls added to him. But if you look at it, Nightmare Luffy it's almost like it was the predecessor, the spiritual predecessor. It was like what could have gotten Luffy towards getting Gear 4. So this one might be even more literal and direct into getting him towards Gear 5.
Yeah.
So I'll pull up the thing. You know,
I'm
saying
real quick. I'm sorry. Yeah. Real quick, I want to address Salamander Red's last comment. That might be what we might get with Momonosuke, like a kaiju fight type thing with Dragon awesome. Momonosuke versus Kaido Dragon. You know, that might be the closest thing we might get to a kaiju fight if we don't get a giant Luffy. But yeah, go ahead. My bad.
No. So what I'm saying with Gear 5th is that it's the incorporation of the breath, the chi of all things around him. You know, if you look back at the breath of all things Zorro used all the way back in Alabaster, he was literally like, I can hear the breathing of the tree, I can hear the breathing of the rocks. Like he's like these inanimate, whether they're living like a tree or even a rock that isn't living, like he can feel the spirit of them. This thing I'm saying, this new Nightmare Luffy is like the spirit of the souls of the dead, not the spirit of things around him.
Yeah.
Gear 5th is more like, Sage mode, right? It's just the natural energy around Luffy. But the new Nightmare Luffy that I'm thinking of, it's more like, I can think of my Shaman Hunter, but that's more obscure. Like just something where like the souls are not necessarily possessing him, but giving him power.
Yeah.
It's literally like Nightmare Luffy, because Nightmare Luffy, if you look at the shadows Moria made, I mean, they were basically like souls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more like that. It's more like just, but it could inspire him to make Gear 5th.
Yeah. Because
he's like, oh, I can inspire spirit energy into my body. I mean, I can get spirit energy into my body.
I mean, yeah, if long as he finds a way to like bring spirits, you know what I'm saying, like conjure them. Yeah.
He think about awakening. It's like literally using your surrounding anyway.
Yeah.
To your advantage. That's something Sage Mode can do.
Yeah.
You know, and in Naruto they have ninjutsu using chakra. That's molding. Like they can fabricate earth. Yeah. But with Sage Mode, you can literally move the earth around you. That's different. So awakening is not like that. You can, Katakuri can make mochi himself, but he can also turn the area into mochi and manipulate the area that is now mochi.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I do think Gear 5 is going to be heavily, like, my theory on Gear 5 has always been that it's going to be, like, something that's is going to utilize Awakening, like, heavily. And it's going to
Yeah.
be more perfected and well-balanced version of Gear 4, like, all the Gear 4 transformations. You know? Like, a more mastered version of Gear 4. Like, for me, Gear 4, I feel as though might just, it just might be an imperfect version of Gear 5 or something like that.
You know, yeah, I thought about this too. And like it might not even necessarily be uh improvement upon Gear 4. It might actually be something that is needed because of Gear 4's weakness, which is the fact that it uses up hockey. It uses up spirit energy. So this Gear 5th form that incorporates spirit energy into Luffy might actually be used as a response to that weakness.
Yeah. And exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I feel as though, like, because first off, Gear 4 is like, it's different transformations, but each transformation it almost has to compensate for other transformation. Like, you have Gear, like Snake Man, which is the fastest, right? It makes up for maybe some of the slowness of the other ones, but Tank Man is probably the most durable, and then Gear, like, Bounce Man might be the most, I would say, most balanced of the transformations, but but I think Gear 5 is going to have all the strengths, and it's going to, like, make up for all the weaknesses. It's going to be more efficient with hockey use, especially since Luffy knows Rio now and he's trained his hockey, and he's more efficient with his hockey. It's going to incorporate Awakening possibly, and yeah, yeah, that's kind of my things on what Gear 5 might be. It's going to be more. It's going, like you said, it's going to add that thing that's going to be able to incorporate all the Gear 4 transformations and be able to balance all the weaknesses. And Salamander Red said, so instead of being powered by shadows, it'll be souls. And you said exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, we probably thought we might never see Nightmare Luffy again, unless if Moria somehow came back and put shadows in him. But that seems pretty far fetched. But this might be a just new, creative, alternative Nightmare Luffy.
I don't think it's far fetched. Because, like I said, I've always kind of had this belief that Kaido may not be defeated at the end of Wano, and he'll come back to fight at the main war. And if that's the case, we could see a rematch where Luffy actually wins, and maybe Blackbeard will be there. Gecko Moria might be there to help assist Luffy. Blackbeard might try to take Kaido's Devil Fruit.
If Luffy has a rematch after all of this, then I want it to be by his own merit.
Yeah.
I'd be like, if you lose after all this time, I don't want you to get any help, any power up. You better defeat Kaido by yourself.
I think he will. I think that time he will.
Okay.
Because it might be something like Kaido has to escape, but it takes everybody to, push Kaido out almost. But, next time they see Kaido, Luffy fights and he beats him on a 1v1, and that establishes him as that Yonko level character. And also, when he fights Teach, I think that's going to be a 1-on-1. At that point, though, he's going to be at that level. But yeah, that's all I got for that.
Maybe you can answer this before I get to my last topic. Salamander. Oh wait, no, not actually. It was actually always on the move. Sorry, no. It was Soza. What do you think the One Piece treasure is?
What do I think the One Piece treasure is? That is a damn good question, and I do not have. Oh, oh man. I mean, one theory I kind of have. It's just a theory. It's not like my main belief, but one thing I think it could be. I said it could possibly be like a. Now, okay, we got poneglyphs, right? We got the normal gray poneglyphs. We got the red
Mm-hmm.
poneglyphs. Maybe it could be one big gold poneglyph, right? With
Yeah.
like all the information, all the history of the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's just basically one piece of world like information. You know, like one piece of history or
Mm-hmm.
something. You know, like it could be just like a wealth of knowledge, you know, like one piece to where you can get all the knowledge you could possibly get. Um uh what other theories? What other ones? What else do I think it could be? I don't know honestly. That's tough. That's
Yeah,
tough.
it's very tough. I can't even really give you an answer like, oh, this is what I think it is. The best answer I could give you is a video I just put in the chat. It is just what I could gather from that video, I mean, that chapter of, oh, Roger laughed. And it's such a quick video, I could just explain it to you real quick. But if you go to the video, you see the manga panels I'm referring to. But there's this pirate named Blue Jam. Um,
I
Super
remember Blue Jam.
irrelevant, super weak, super lame. But he said something very interesting, almost philosophical, more philosophical for someone who's such a meathead like that guy. He seemed like henchman status, but he said something really smart for some
Blue
reason.
Jam
And that might have just been a.
wasn't he the mountain bandit?
He's not a mountain bandit. He basically acts like a mountain bandit because we never see him out in sea. But he was a pirate captain, I believe. He just was a failed pirate captain.
He was the one that took when like Luffy and them were kids, right?
Yeah, he's the
And
one that like terrorized them.
yeah.
And
Okay.
basically, just paraphrasing, everything was on fire, and he made a deal with Sabo's dad, where it was like, "Oh, if I help you out, you're gonna help me out. You're gonna hook me up with some stuff." And then he basically helped out Sabo's dad, and then Sabo's dad was like, "Well, screw you. I don't really care about you. No deal." So he just got screwed over.
Yeah.
So he had no obligation to like really terrorize them anymore because he already knows he's not gonna get anything out of it.
Yeah.
However, he was still gonna attack Sabo and Luffy, even though he had nothing. There was nothing in it for him, and he's basically going insane because he's just falling into a pit of despair. He's like, "I did all of this for nothing. Everything's on fire. Everything's falling apart," and he's like laughing. And he says that when people are put into a pit of despair where there's no hope, they can't do anything but laugh or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was very interesting and maybe related to why Roger was laughing in that moment.
That's
Because
kind of like
on
something
the
Joker would
surface,
say.
yeah, on the surface it seems like, oh, he's laughing. Maybe it's something good, but it might actually be something despair-inducing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that video,
I,
presents it a lot better. But that's my paraphrase.
I've heard that theory many a times that it could have been something despairing, and they were just laughing just because it's like, even though it's kind of hard because I don't know, man. Like I don't know. Like, but yeah, that's a good question. That's a tough question to answer.
Yeah. But I think that's everything. My last topic is how is it that Emu could be immortal? Um, this is something I actually thought of a little bit in in one of my videos about Rokushiki, how Rokushiki could be hockey, and I just said this in like an off-ended like after the theory was dealt with, I started to freestyle and just say random stuff. So one of the random things I said was like, oh, what if the world government is training these Rokushiki masters to just be the pinnacle of the human physical body,
Mm-hmm.
and they care so much about how physically strong you are. If you use hockey, that's not the same thing as physical strength. They really need someone who's super physically strong because Emu wants whoever that strong person as a vessel. Just body hopping. That's not a new concept. That's been in so many stories
Kind of like
of
Orochimaru.
exactly just body hopping one to the next to be immortal. However, how is this done in One Piece? How could this fit in the story of One Piece? It could just be, oh, he just has magic and he can body hop from one to the next. But there's actually this concept of like reincarnation that is very present in One Piece. So what if this chosen person is giving a devil fruit? The devil fruit of all devil fruits. You can literally call it the devil's fruit.
Bro, you just
And
gave me such a wild idea, but I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah. So it's the devil's fruit. It's a fruit that once you eat it, it's not like it just gives you power. Because devil fruit reincarnation is like it's almost like the spirit of the devil fruit enters your own spirit. That's how it's been portrayed in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So what if it's not just some spirit that gives you powers, but it's a spirit that has its own consciousness, and it's basically the soul of Emu. Yeah. So whenever that person eats that fruit, they get the soul of Emu inside their body, and then whatever Emu's previous vessel maybe like loses its power or something over time, and then the new vessel assumes the role of Emu.
Man, you hear me out on this, because you just kind of gave me, now it's not fleshed out because I just kind of got this, you just kind of gave me this idea, so it's not fully fleshed out. But you were just talking about like Emu being immortal because possibly some type of like body transfer, right? Yeah. Like maybe a devil fruit, And then what was we just talking about, right? What is the One Piece, right? What the One Piece is? What did you say? You like what was it that you said that the One Piece could be about? Roger crying, but possibly because of despair. What if the One Piece is knowledge that a despairing knowledge though, right? Yeah. Like maybe something along the line where failure is just inevitable or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like it's literally like there's like an illusion of control. Yeah. And this is a concept that there's been like hints of this within One Piece, because sometimes it seems like the world government isn't threatened by the Yonko at the top levels. Like they just almost look at them as just other pawns. Like these are people we look at as super strong. It's like Kaido, oh, he's 1v1, no one can beat him. But they might just look at him like, oh, that's just some kid of this generation. And they're just so high above these people that if you knew it, you would understand how futile it is to go up against them. Yeah. So I feel like there's been some seeds planted of that could be the case.
But what if the One Piece is something along the line as that devil fruit that you were just talking about, where Emu, I guess, could take over your body or whatever, or maybe some type of ceremony type thing where like they're what if wherever the One Piece is, that's where they do the ceremonies or something for like the body transfers. And like I don't know, like again, you just kind of gave me the idea, and it's not fully fleshed out, but like saying
that's my favorite thing about this is the sharing of ideas and how it can sprout other things. So I'm so glad that could happen.
So Salamander Red said, I think Roger laughed because in order to get the One Piece, he has to sacrifice his crew. That's why Rayleigh said maybe Luffy will find a different answer. I mean, yeah. I mean,
that's along the lines. I mean, that's pretty despairing.
And think about it, like if maybe you have to become Emu or something. You have to sacrifice your crew and become Emu to affect the world almost. You know what I'm saying? So
that just gave me an idea. What if how like it's really being presented that Luffy is Joy Boy? Yeah. Right, and that's really that's so Naruto right there in itself, where it's like this child of destiny. But that is so against who Luffy is. He's more
Yeah,
about freedom and paving your own way. Like
yeah,
he would probably be disgusted thinking, "Oh, my whole entire life is predestined, and I'm just some other guy." So there might be a point where it's like, "Oh, in order to fight Emu, you have to eat this Joy Boy devil fruit, so Joy Boy can come back and be all powerful, and it's gonna give you a power boost, and you can save the world." I could see Luffy being like,
yeah,
"Nah, I'll just do it myself. I don't need the power."
yeah. And he might not take, but like I'm thinking, like you know, if maybe the One Piece is like a new power, but it takes a great sacrifice, such as kind of like what Salamander Red said. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
he has to sacrifice his crew, and he has to become like Emu or that evil, almost in order to save the world or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have to become something hated in order to change the world or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of times that's how it works. You might go in, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's like, let's use Dragon as an example. Like he wants to, revolutionize the world, and let's say he's successful. Well, then he becomes the man in power, and then what if he has to make hard decisions and sacrifice people here and there and all that stuff? And next thing you know, people are looking at him like he's a villain.
Yeah,
It might be a story of like, oh, now I can see why these people, like maybe Emu went into this 800 years ago, like, I'm going to save the world.
yeah,
And after years and decades and centuries, he just became more bitter and bitter over time.
yeah, yeah. It's like you have to, yeah. It's like you almost have to replace the previous guy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what the One Piece is. But it's like I don't know, man. Like that's something to really think of. Salamander Red said, "If there's a Joy Boy fruit and an emu devil fruit, what if Blackbeard just eats them both?"
Oh, that's such a good point, too. You bringing up Blackbeard. If you were
Yeah,
to eat them both, that would be such an. Oh, it's so perfect, too, because let's say that scenario I just made up, where
yeah,
it's like Luffy denies the Joy Boy Devil Fruit. Well, it's still there.
yeah,
So then, someone like Blackbeard might be like, "Oh, now I want this." Because if you remember, Whitebeard said, "You're not the one Roger's waiting for." It's like so disrespectful and denouncing Blackbeard, and maybe Blackbeard has in his head like he wants to be the hero and all that stuff. So he's like, "Now I want this fruit for myself."
yeah.
And
I'll,
maybe this fruit has to be compatible with its user, so it creates some kind of conflict. Now, Joy Boy power is with Blackbeard, but it's not meant for him.
mm, yeah, I was thinking like, what if Emu was the previous Joy Boy? You know, I guess.
Yeah, that would be a twist.
Man,
That
it's
would be
just so
so
many. It's
good.
so many routes Oda could go with this. I
Yeah.
think at this moment. But yeah, you got
And
any? There, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when with my theory is like, oh, it's a devil fruit that he passes on to another person. Like, in order for him to do that, if you think about typically how devil fruit works, Emo would have to sacrifice his current body, put the soul into a fruit, then have it be put inside another person. And that requires a lot of trust because he would be very vulnerable.
Yeah,
But it may not work like that. Maybe he found some way to still be alive, but pass it into the fruit and then into the next person. And if you think about that, whatever that secret method he's using, Blackbeard might know that method, and that's how he's able to put
yeah,
Whitebeard, his fruit, inside of himself. So there can be so many interconnecting ways this could work.
yeah. For real, for real.
But yeah, that was everything for me.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything for me. Um, but yeah.
So
So
if you're looking in my chat, there's a link to Sean's stream. Please check that out. Like, subscribe. Check out his Discord.
yeah, those will be in the link in my description on my page. But yeah, and same. I'm gonna put. I had to go back and edit. I'm gonna put your link to your channel in my description box for this stream. So if you definitely go check out Elijah. He makes some very, very good theories, like very well thought out theories. I always say it. I always praise him for it because I really do think he do a good job. That's why I always invite him to these streams because I love hearing his perspective on things. And another thing, for my channel, I'm gonna start doing reaction videos. Like that's what I'm working on, doing reaction videos to other One Piece YouTubers. I'm gonna be doing the stream probably tomorrow. I'm gonna do a stream tomorrow of a video. I think it's a Blackbeard theory. It's a Blackbeard theory. I gotta find the video because I kind of lost track of where it was. But I gotta find the video.
You'll be doing it?
Because this is something new. I'm just starting to, I haven't really fully planned out a day, but let's say 6 p.m. Central Time. So for you, I think that's gonna be like, I think you're an hour ahead, so it's gonna be like 7 for 7. You.
Yeah. And then if you schedule it, it'll show up on the feed anyway.
Yeah, I'll schedule it. So if you follow me, you'll see it's either gonna be 6 or 7. It just depends. Hopefully nothing pops up for me tomorrow. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna be doing this. It's I think it's a Blackbeard theory I seen. So yeah, I'm gonna start doing theory. I'm gonna start doing reactions. So and if you follow, if you subscribe to me, send me some good videos of One Piece theories or whatever. You can go to my Instagram and send them at Blumpguy. But yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Sometimes it's hard for me with stuff I'm doing. I'll be stressed. So it's hard for me to get myself motivated to do something. So joining this really helps me to just get into the groove of it. So I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man. If you can stay, I guess stay on after we kind of get off live. I just kind of want to talk to you a little bit.
I got you.
But yeah. Well, I'm again, follow me on Instagram, Twitter at Blumpguy. And send me videos to react to because I'm gonna definitely start doing reaction videos to my channel. And I'm gonna start doing reactions to your stuff too as well.
Any way I can participate, I can send you notes or any like behind the scenes, whatever, like my thought process, anything like that. You let me know.
Yeah, for now I'm thinking I'm gonna do reaction videos on Monday, but I might eventually like do them more often as well, like throughout the week maybe. But yeah. That's it for me.